This is 7th grade Geography of World Regions overview of Unit 1, Geographic Concepts and Skills. So we're going to dig right in. We're going to scroll into our Do section. Here's our Know, Understand, and Do, our KUDs. All of these are aligned across, so Unit 1, Lesson 1, Unit 1, Lesson 1. And then when you get to the Do, you're going to notice that you have all of these green sections. Those are all linkable. We have created a OneDrive geography account so that we can upload documents there and create them to be linkable. What that's going to allow you to do is to click on the document. It's going to take you to the OneDrive where that is stored and allow you to download that and save it for yourself. Okay, so what we've done here is created a guide for every unit. So I'm in the curriculum team OneDrive right now, and I'm going to go to, I'm in Geography Concepts. I'm going to recommend that you do something similar. Create your unit and then create your lesson folders. What you will find is that we tied all of these together with an identifier. So when I open up Lesson 1 here, you can see that everything has Unit 1, Lesson 1, and then activity number. So what activity does it go to? All right, so we're going to first look for the lesson guide for Lesson 1. Remember that in Unit 1, this is the backbone of our curriculum. We are teaching the students the skills that it takes to think geographically. So all of the assignments in here correspond with our 6 skills of geography. So you're going to find a lesson guide. That should be at the top of each section or unit that guides you through what are the objects or these goals of this unit, this lesson. Okay, so in the lesson abstract, in this lesson, students identify the importance of map elements. Students will conduct a scavenger hunt using a blank map. Because no map elements are included to help find them, find the designated items, places. Students will modify the map during the scavenger hunt. Students will then be formally introduced to map elements. There's a PowerPoint presentation. They're going to create a neighborhood mental map to demonstrate understanding of map elements. They're going to explore how the global grid can be used to identify absolute locations of places on. The instruction focuses on PowerPoint presentation, which involves several activities, including the drawing and labeling of the global grid, the identification of points on the grid, and an investigation of the effect of latitude on climate. Then students are going to participate in latitude and longitude zombie simulation that's going to require them to use mapping skills and geographical knowledge to locate the areas that may have been impacted by using coordinates of latitude and longitude. All right, so we estimate about 6 days. Since this is the first time we're teaching this, I'm sure that's going to change, but we're just going to be fluid and recognize that we're reflecting on what we're doing and making changes as we need to. So we've put our state standards here, our I can statements, and what geographic skills we're addressing, our key concepts from this lesson. And then if there's anything special that you need to know, like you need to prepare something, we tried to put it in this section called Teacher Notes. So in this particular unit, this lesson, you're going to need to do a scavenger blank map. We tried to get those from principals and put those on Schoology for you. So if yours is there, your principal sent it to us, and we try to get that taken care of for you. We recommend that you put 10 places or items on the map, but erase or white out any identifiers. So no classroom numbers, nothing. We want them to have a blank map so that they understand how important map elements are. And then laminate them so that you can reuse them in the future. And then the zombie activity, there are things that you're going to need to print and laminate, different map sets that you can have students move to so that they can use with that activity. So in activity 1, this we're calling our hook. They don't know anything yet about what we're learning, so we want them, to see what they know. What do they know before we actually teach them? So we're going to do the scavenger hunt. Each group or each set of partners, they're going to have a blank map, and then you're going to go around the school for 10 to 15 minutes where they are trying to locate the 10 things and figure out how they're going to communicate that with you and come back and talk about what they were able to do. So in your debrief there, you're basically going to, talk about how the map helped them. Was it useful? What could we have? And, do a natural lead into what would make their map more accurate, efficient, and effective. Okay. An option to this, maybe you want to do drawing a map. So if you needed to walk to the store to buy some milk, how would you know how to get there? Most likely you said use directions, GPS, or a map. Today your task is to draw a map using the directions provided. So there is a set of directions here. And while I'm thinking about this, I'm going to go ahead and say I do have these activities in digital versions as well. And by digital, I mean online versions. So if this is something you're interested in, please reach out to me. I can add you to the link to where you can also have an option to do those. Okay, so you do have two different little hook options there to kind of get kids thinking about why do we need map elements, okay? All right, then activity 2 is a basic PowerPoint presentation. You can have kids do vocabulary from this if you needed, and it is just an overview of what are map elements, what's their purpose, and why do we need them as geographers. Activity 3 is a neighborhood mental map, and here what our goal is to have kids draw a mental map. Like we want them from, thinking from their head. How would you draw your neighborhood? So we've just learned about map elements. What are you going to put on your map that helps the reader of your map be able to use your map accurately and efficiently? Okay, so we do want to encourage them to add the map elements, but then to think about themselves first. So here's your house, and then how do you build out from there? Your neighbors, you have a grocery store in your neighborhood, you have a park in your neighborhood, there's a school there. So just trying to get kids to think geographically by doing a mental map of their neighborhood. Activity 4 is a lead-in to our need for a geographic locating system. Okay, so what you're doing here is basically just asking the kids to think about, what kind of system could we have that would help us locate or pinpoint specific places on Earth, and we call that the global grid. And so from here, you're going to just go into the notes, the PowerPoint presentation, and these are interactive notes, so they actually have to draw little globes and things of that nature that correspond with what they're learning in the PowerPoint. Okay, and then from there, activity 5 is a latitude and longitude independent practice. This is so that they can now use the global grid. We've taught them about latitude, longitude, the hemispheres, so on and so forth. Now can they put that into practice? And then activity 6, our plan was that we create a student atlas throughout the year, and this would be that first one. So where the kids are creating a world map that would outline the continents and the oceans. And then you could, even if you decided that you wanted to do it as a student atlas to where the kids are, adding things throughout the year, you could have them do one for each continent. Then that way, when we are studying South Africa, we can refer back to, when we're studying Africa, we refer back to Africa's map, and then we can label those maps as we learn new things. And then activity 7 is our simulation. It's a latitude and longitude zombie activity. Basically, that is set up to where there's an apocalypse and the students are going to have to help, save the day, so to speak, by finding where the zombies are and what locations are good and bad. Now that brings me back to here. Everything that I just described to you and what you can see in the lesson guide, we tried to put like scavenger task, what activity it is. If it needed a document, we tried to tell you which document that was that you needed. So we tried to organize it in a way that made it helpful and efficient for you guys. And then you can see we've labeled those all here like this. Now, again, this is just some suggestions that we have to try to help you reach this goal. You are free to have flexibility and autonomy and what you're doing and how you're doing. But if you have something that you would like to suggest to us, please don't hesitate sending your ideas to the curriculum team, and we'll get those put on to Rubicon. All right, this was lesson 1.